Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
All right, we're back on the show. Several new David Pakman Show members, Lewis, that I want to say hello to. Simon Eck, Matthias Feldoff, Andrew Kletzian, Tracy Merrifield, Leah Moore. A lot of new members, Lewis, lately. And of course, now we have the new special, davidpakman.com/Lewis, Louis. We're only mentioning it here. Log on, take advantage of it, because I'll tell you, because Lewis already has 250,000 memberships, he's not going to be using any of these specials. So really, they're available to you instead.
Yeah, please join.
Let's talk about, I have so many different stories, and I know we're not going to have enough time for all of them. There has been a new escalation, Lewis, of the Fox News. People always say, well, you always criticize Fox News, but you never give examples of exactly why. Well, if you believe that that's true, then the next 3 examples probably also won't count to you. Putting that aside, though, Lewis, I want to talk about a few different things going on. One of these is that Fox News started creating a narrative that the Wisconsin protests were getting violent, right?
Right.
So what better to prove that than to show video of violence taking place? And we're going to run the video now. The thing that our audience will notice if they watch the video is that there seem to be palm trees in the background of where the so-called union protest is happening, and there's also no snow. Now, Lewis, you and I both know that right now in Wisconsin, there are no palm trees and there is snow. So what happened here? It's the typical old switcheroo. Run video from somewhere completely unrelated to Wisconsin and say that, therefore, the Wisconsin protests must be getting violent. Ethical, Lewis?
Hardly.
Obviously not. What else has been going on? And by the way, this is not the first time Fox has been caught in this type of nonsense. It's happened many, many times before. The other one I want to play for you is Bill O'Reilly was doing a segment on polling about what's going on in Wisconsin, right? And he comes up with this bizarre statement about how we can really know whether the polling is biased or not. And I just... hopefully you can make heads or tails out of what he's talking about here. I really can't. Let's take a listen.
The subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Americans are now caught up in a very important conflict, cost-cutting versus union benefits. According to a new CBS poll, 37% of Americans favor cutting pay or benefits for public union employees, but 56% oppose that. And the New York Times headline today reads, majority in poll back employees in public sector. But the poll is misleading because 20% of the respondents say they're from union households. If you subtract them, those who favor cutting benefits win the poll.
Right. So let's analyze what's being said here, Lewis, because this is just so pathetic. Bill O'Reilly discounts a poll that shows support for unions because it includes union workers or people who are related to union workers in the poll, right?
Or so he says.
Yeah, or so he says.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, and that is also what the people who did the poll claim. They are including people who either work for unions or know someone or have a family, right? Mm-hmm. So the latest presidential approval poll, Lewis, 23% of the people that responded were registered Democrats. We have to discount all Democrats if it's a presidential approval poll about a Democratic president, don't we?
Naturally, yeah.
Oh, and by the way, the poll on gay marriage, Lewis, 98% of those respondents were straight. So we should obviously remove them, or maybe only count them if you're on the Bill O'Reilly side of things. Oh, and that poll, Lewis, on whether taxes are too high, 99.9% of the respondents actually pay taxes. So the poll's completely biased. You have to remove all those people. I guess you can keep Wesley Snipes and a couple of other people who are doing tax evasion.
I suppose, yeah.
And of course, tides coming in, tides going out. Nope, the moon's involved in that. That's biased too. You've got to remove the moon, and which apparently Bill O'Reilly did in that interview with David Silverman from American Atheists.
Did he? Oh yeah. That was classic.
And then lastly on this Fox News stuff, a Fox News reporter, Mike Tobin, who's been doing a lot of the reporting, he's the one who's been getting yelled at during some of the protests in Wisconsin. He appears to have lied about being punched by a protester. He was reporting from a demonstration and he claimed one of the protesters punched him in the arm. And then in another broadcast, he actually claimed, Lewis, that a man tried to break his neck. And then it turns out someone touched the guy's shoulder. And that warrants, apparently on Fox News, that warrants you were assaulted and someone punched you.
Everything's relative. Maybe the guy's never been punched before.
It's like when Lewis tells me when I ask him about the mosh pits at his metal shows, if I ask him if people get punched, and Lewis says, no, there's no punching, but arms flail and sometimes others walk into the arms. That's all that happens.
Yeah.
I guess it's all a matter of opinion.
Exactly.
By the way, do we expect a mosh pit at the upcoming Palladium show?
I hope so.
Are there usually mosh pits?
At our shows?
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, not too much.
No injuries so far.
Actually, Tom our singer broke a couple ribs.
The singer broke, but how was he in the mosh pit?
Well, during a long instrumental part, he jumped in the pit.
Very good. All right.
But don't worry.
It's all safe.
Yeah.
Is it a family show? Because I know there's songs about getting injured by insects and burning churches and stuff like that.
Well, there are no songs about burning churches. It's pretty family friendly. Yeah.
I guess you know that's not true, Lewis.
How's it not family friendly? There's no swearing.
I guess it depends on your family.
There's no vulgarity. There's no sexual violent acts on stage. I mean, everyone's dressed. How's it not family friendly?
All right. I guess it depends on what type of family you're in.
Don't listen to Dave.